ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your participation. You may now.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode from the Citadel. And boy oh boy do we have a lot to talk about today. So as you probably immediately realized, a lot of things have changed between the last episode and this one. The new map is probably the most obvious change. And maybe some of you recognize this map because it's the one Fluxtrans made for his Avalon series. Even though I only exported the height map and imported it in the asset editor to create the new map, to change some aspects of it like the base theme, the resemblance is obvious. So for this episode I even made a little list on my phone with stuff I wanted to talk about, because there is a lot of it. I will first start with the reasons for me creating this whole Citadel series. Then talking about the parallels between this project and my other series, Verville, a bit, and coming to a conclusion. Additionally, I'll also talk about the future prospects of this series and where exactly we are headed to. But first of all, please don't worry, nothing has changed regarding the storyline or the general idea of the project. But yeah, just hang on a second, I will elaborate everything right now. So, why the heck another futuristic series? I mean, YouTube is actually swamped with this genre. But yeah, as with Verville, I do all these projects only for myself, because it's really a ton of fun for me. It's just such a great hobby and a great community. And I wanted to have this project in contrast to Verville. So, futuristic because there are no real-life boundaries. I don't have to justify my design decisions. I can basically just build whatever comes into my mind, and that's mostly inspiration I take from science fiction movies or series for that matter. So yeah, it's basically just full creativity mode for me. A thing I personally really enjoy in these projects are the totally over-the-top infrastructures. You saw already a glimpse in the previous two episodes. Lots of highways, very high up in the air, so we can have some great ground level shots with these highway bridges overarching the streets and creating these concrete valleys, as I like to call them. And yeah, besides the highways, I just love different public transport options. And that's already a reason why I restarted this whole project. First, I was only focused on the suspended monorail, but I pretty quickly realized that they are not sufficient as a mean of public transport. You don't have a lot of options to create cool junctions or even rail yards and stuff like that. But also a big reason is you can only see the vehicles when you look from the ground level, and that's just not fun. I don't want to see only the tracks when I do cinematics, and even though I really like this mean of transport, I just wanted my trains back. But later more on that topic. The thing I also wanted to try out is building a big ass skyline with mega tall skyscrapers, like such you can see in movies like Blade Runner or Ghost in a Shell, which are huge inspirations for this project. And yeah, I also started to enjoy video editing very much. It's so much fun playing around with intense feeling video editing, music and cinematics, and creating this kind of a badass mean looking city and matching the video editing to that. Okay, so a more general thought is that the Citadel will be, as Verville, a super long-term project. I don't see that series ending in the next year or two, I don't know. Hence, lots and lots of planning in advance is necessary. It's actually insane. You cannot just open a new map, downloading some mods and assets and starting the city. No, you really have to forecast some potential issues you could have and try everything you can to prevent stuff like that. And yeah, that's actually a reason why I changed the map. Something you don't really have a feeling for when you're not used to map creation is that you don't really know how tall or steep mountains can be. And I realized that this ridiculously long cliff wall along the shoreline of the sea was way too high and way too steep. I had no idea how I could cope with that. I mean, this huge bridge was a nice idea and I will keep the idea of a bridge, but scale it down a lot more. Speaking of the bridges, it was also a cool idea to have 2 bridges leading from 2 different sides to the city, but I built these bridges way too far apart from each other, so there was no way around filling all the space between these bridges. And as you can see right here, I'm checking out how much space is that actually and how much do I have to build in between here. Then I realized, oh shoot, I should check what's the building limit because it's only 36,000 buildings or something like that. And yeah, like here, it doesn't look like the building limit should be an issue, but keep in mind when you squeeze all these together, they take up way less space, and there are also other things that count as buildings that aren't actually building assets. But yeah, anyway, long story short, the map just wasn't inspiring for me, and frankly I didn't put too much effort in creating it, so I was just browsing the workshop for a nicer looking map that includes mountains as well, and obviously I didn't find anything because the Steam workshop is totally crap, so I just googled for Fluxtrance's map because I knew this looks just insane. I hope it's not getting too familiar with the Avalon project, but I think I can differentiate it enough. Okay, so once again, Verville is, for me at least, it's for pure relaxation purposes. It's super calm and chill with a cute and homey feeling to it. Honestly, for me it's almost something ASMR-like to watch. Whereas the Citadel is a way more hyped series with an imposing kind of aspect to it. And it's also the first series that comes with some kind of a backstory to it, which is also new for me. Speaking of the backstory, as I said, nothing has changed regarding that. I now have actually long-term plans regarding where to put the Wallace headquarters and the water extraction pumps, as well as the whole industry area. So now I can say with confidence that I have already specific plans to how this city will develop, where what will go, and that's also a crucial point. Because without a clear vision, I quickly lose motivation to build in a city. I really need those long-term objectives. Another thing that I realized is that it is freaking hard to detail without greenery. I was just spending so much time to figure out how exactly I wanted to detail the places. Either I don't have the right assets to detail in a quickly and efficient manner, or it is just freaking hard to detail without any greenery in place. So I know I first said I don't want to have any trees or bushes anywhere on the map, but I watched a really cool video on YouTube a friend of mine recommended to me. I will link that actually in the description because it's totally worth watching. And they were talking about potential extraterrestrial plants and stuff. And they said it could very well be that, especially on planets where there's not enough sunlight, trees would appear pretty dark, almost no color to it, because they absorb light in every wavelength from their sun. So I had the idea to use the tree and vehicle prop mod, or however it is called, to turn all the greenery and trees into props, so I can turn them into POs and change the color of them to a really dark one. And I think that could be a thing that looks really cool, and I just think they would fit really nice into this dystopian series as long as I turn them pretty dark. So I don't want to sound like a broken record, but in conclusion I can say I just really underestimated the amount of planning that's involved, especially in such a long-term project, and large-scale city. You really have to do smart choices for assets such as road networks and public transport assets, because you want to keep that down to a minimum. As you probably remember, I was talking about the choice of roads in the past 2 episodes already, and I really think that's a crucial part of every project, because you're gonna look at these assets all the time, because streets are everywhere, and as well as public transport things. So when I was watching Artifacts', I hope I pronounced his name correctly, new Atsuki series, he built a Japanese city. I saw him using these Japanese road assets that look absolutely incredible. I did some research, and on my Discord someone pointed out that they can make kind of a strange connection to other roads as vanilla roads or whatever. That actually doesn't concern me, but the person also told me that it's creating some issues with the Shuto expressway networks. But I checked that out and it doesn't seem too bad in my opinion. I can hide that glitch pretty well. If there's even a glitch, I think it only occurs in elevated sections. So anyway, I chose these Japanese road networks as kind of the base assets for this whole project, but it doesn't stop there. There was also something else going on in the background of this project, and I'm really excited to show it to you. So what you see here is what I like to call the light arches and the LightHook. It's the first ever custom asset used in one of my series, and I'm so proud to present this here today for you. I have to admit I shouldn't take too much credit for it, because all I did was creating a first sketch on paper, and then I tried myself a bit in Blender, and I quickly realized that I would need to spend way more time to get to know Blender better, to create an actual asset that is of high enough quality to be used in one of my projects. So I started asking around for people willing to help me out here, and Comrade Intense, he was actually so nice to create the actual 3D model in Blender and even did the texture to it. Thank you so much, Comrade, and you guys, you should really check out his amazing work. He's on YouTube as well. He's currently building on the Zaneria city. Yeah, really cool project, check him out, and thank you again so much for your awesome work here. But it actually didn't stop there, because as you can see here, my inspiration came from Ghost in a Shell, and in that movie, these light arches, they have this glowing blue light strip inside of it, and I just knew Mark Konok would be the right guy for this job. So I asked him on Twitter, and he quickly agreed to help me out here, and he as well, he did such an amazing job. He was very quick, and 24 hours later I already had the finished asset. Yeah, thank you as well, Marco. Thank you so much for your work here. Go and check out his channel too, guys. All that was left to do was to import it into my game, edit it a little bit more in the asset editor. For instance, I changed some light bulbs and the name of the asset. I had to write a short description, take some screenshots of the asset, and make a pack for the Steam workshop. So you can actually check out these street lamps for yourself. The link is in the description. And when you downloaded this futuristic lighting pack, and all you have to do is use Network Skins 2 mod to change the default street lamp with this futuristic pack here. The light hooks, they work on basically every street. And the light arches are meant to be used with the Shuto expressway. I named them 1 to 4 lane, so there shouldn't be any confusion on how to use them. I hope you enjoyed that asset, and I would really like to see some pictures of your futuristic city using these kind of lamps. Would be great to see some screenshots over on my Discord. Have fun! Okay, so I know that I didn't talk at all about what's actually going on the screen, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I was just laying down the base grid of the whole city again. The only thing I did different this time is I already planned much more in advance. I also implemented the metro tracks right from the beginning on. I had a pretty clear vision where which line will go to, and I also planned the main streets of the grid layout in that manner. But it's a bit hard to talk about that kind of stuff because I sped up the whole time lapse 10 times this time around, and my computer can't really render the preview in DaVinci Resolve. So I did this whole voiceover without the actual time lapse. But I will talk more in depth about how the city will work this time around in future episodes, that's for sure. But the key takeaways from this time lapse is probably that we still have that main bridge that leads into the city over the Bay Area. For that I took inspiration from San Francisco. Then we have this really iconic Tokyo Olympia Stadium at a very prominent spot. There are two main highways cutting right through the city. One is a double-stacked highway in front of the skyline, and the other one goes straight through the downtown area. And the whole city is still located in between these mountain ridges to protect it from strong winds. If you want to know more details about the location of the city, check out episode 1 of this series. Okay, so we are already at the end of today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you did so, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Visit me on my Discord server, check out the screenshots I post on Instagram, and if you just want to see me rambling around stuff, then you can follow me on Twitter, but probably Instagram is the best option for most of you. Also, if you really want to support me like Jason and James, then become a Patreon and get early access to videos and projects I haven't released yet. Okay, so that's it for today. Hope you don't mind that new beginning of the Citadel. Hope you didn't get too attached to the old one. But yeah, looking forward to see you next time on the Citadel.
You